Hi everybody, and welcome to DIYing to Craft. My name is Sabrina, and I'm so happy you're here. If you're finding my channel for the first time, I hope you'll stay connected by liking, subscribing, and clicking the notification bell. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much. Help me grow here on YouTube by liking, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. Now it's time to craft. I've had a hard time finding time and inspiration to craft since our move back to Michigan. Between working full-time, catching up with family, and house hunting, that's right, we're now house hunting, the days just seem to zip by. However, I've seen the popularity of these dragon wreaths, and I really wanted to try one. After buying the masks, wings, and tail from Amazon, I'll put a link below, which was more expensive than I anticipated, I decided to use products from my stash for the rest of the wreath. This black mesh was purchased at Hobby Lobby sometime last year. It's 10 inches wide, and I'm going to cut it into 10-inch squares. I'm just using my rotary cutter. I know a lot of people like to use the wood burner. I found for this the rotary cutter was sufficient. I then fold it in half, corner to corner. Kind of looks a little bit like a jellyfish. I fold the sides in, make a little point, scrunch, kind of straighten it out a little bit, and then just use an elastic to hold it together. Before I started recording, I played around with the different folds to try to decide how I wanted to do it. I know I've seen it done differently in other videos. However, I thought this one worked for what I wanted, so that's how I decided to fold it. If you like it done differently, you certainly can do whatever fold. And unfortunately, I don't know what this petal is called. Maybe you do. You can put it in the comments. But I just folded it until I liked the way it looked and went with that. This buffalo check pattern mesh, I believe, came from Michael's also last season. I haven't really purchased anything this year as far as mesh goes. I don't typically like to use the mesh, but I had it in my stash and I decided I was going to finally use it up. Again, I cut it in it's 10 inches wide, and I cut it in a 10-inch length and folded it. I did this one a little upside down and then decided to turn it. Just fold in the corners, make a little point, scrunch, use an elastic to keep it together. I didn't mention it in the last one, but I also cut off the ends at this point. I leave enough to hold it together, but I don't want all that excess, so I go ahead and cut that off. Now this one, it's a little bit bigger. This one is 12 inches wide. So I went ahead and cut the squares at 12 by 12 so that it would be a true square. And I think that one also was from Michael. I think it said celebrate on the packaging. See me counting out my 12. Fold it in half, corner to corner, fold in the other corners. I play with it. I get a little fussy on these a little bit because they didn't seem to want to line up. Fold the corners in, create a little peak. Again, if you know what the name of this petal is, let me know in the comments, because I'm not really knowledgeable when it comes to all the different petal types. I just kept folding until I liked the way it looked and went with that. Gather it together, use an elastic. I pulled a black elastic out of the packaging for this. I will end up changing it to a lighter color because I just felt like the black stood out too much. And ultimately, you probably would have never seen it, but I knew it was there and it was bothering me, so I changed it out. Just cut off the ends. You may hear some noise in the background. As soon as I started recording, it decided to start storming outside, so it's quite a bit of thunder. Here's the 3 colors I'm using. Here's the mask. You've probably seen it if you've watched any of the videos on these dragon wreaths. The tail and the wings. This all comes together from Amazon. Again, I will put the link to the one I purchased. You might be able to find it less expensive. I also decided to put it on a candy cane wreath that I got last season from Dollar Tree. And I got it at the end of the season, so I think I actually got it for 50 cents. There's the 3 styles. And it'll just take me a minute here to kind of figure out how I want to arrange it. I went and got the clear zip ties too because I didn't want the black zip ties on the white mesh. I kind of plan out how I'm going to do it. When I go into these crafts, I have a general idea of what I want to do, but I don't have an exact plan. So I kind of just wing it a little bit. I'm putting the zip tie around the little bundle there, attaching it to the bottom and outer piece of wire of the frame. And then I take that buffalo check one, and I use a black zip tie. You can use whatever zip ties you want. You could use a pipe cleaner. I believe a pipe cleaner would be just as sturdy on that. I zip it around the inner wire and the bottom also, just to kind of keep it sturdy and keep it from moving. You see this one, I kind of go around the back inner one and then down the bottom one. It is a little hard to see where exactly I arranged it. You could arrange it however you want. I mean, it's your wreath. Choose how you want to attach it. Choose how you want to line it up. This is just how I decided to do it. I struggle with zip ties sometimes because I don't have very strong hands. I seem to get weaker as I get older, so I do have one of those little zip tie tighteners and cutters, but since I moved into the rental, I can't seem to find it. Now you'll see I did the 1 white on the inner, the check on the center, and I did 2 of the black ones on the outer. I didn't want to do a 4th color, so I just felt like the 2 layers of black looked nice along the, would be the like spine of the dragon. I use my pliers to just kind of tighten it a little bit. And I got a different pair of clippers there because the other pair, it was too difficult to use. And I just keep going up the candy cane wreath frame. And that's how I looped it behind there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 little, I guess, wires. I looped it on the second one around the bundle, right where I put the rubber band. That way if the rubber band should break, the bundle will still stay together with the zip tie. And I have the side that is out is the side that doesn't have the fold. So the fold is to the back, and the side that's out is more smooth. To me, it looked more like a scale that way, rather than a flower petal or something like that. Man, it's really raining outside here. And that's how I'm going to arrange it. I speed it up a little bit. I'm doing the same exact process, putting the white one on the inner, the buffalo check on the center, and the 2 black ones on the outer. So I just sped it up to about 4 times its normal speed to finish up the process. I've seen so many versions of this Dragon Wreath, the round kind. I've seen some on an S frame. I just wanted to try it on the candy cane one to see, because I actually have a few of these candy canes. Like I said, I picked them up on sale after Christmas last year, and I wanted to repurpose some of them for more than just candy canes. And you'll see this turns out really nice. I really do like it. I still think I might try a round one, but I do like this shape. And the buffalo check coloring is going to go with a lot of the other things I have in my house. So I've got myself a little buffalo check country farm dragon, maybe. Here's the dragon face. I'm just kind of testing out to see how it looks. Decide to add another little scale in there. And that's how his little face will look in there. Now I'm going to add his eyeballs, but first I want to clean up the rubber a little bit. When I purchased these, they came from Amazon, and they weren't in, I don't know, they weren't the greatest condition. I paid, I think it was almost $30 for them, so I would have hoped it would have been a little bit better, but it's a costume. It's not the highest quality. So I just use my little X-Acto knife and scissors, and here I'm going to cut in the eye slit that's there, just the connection between the back of the mask and the front of the mask. You have to be really, really careful. You can't maybe necessarily see in my video, but there is a spot, and it's where the two sides come together, that you can get your X-Acto knife in there and you can just keep cutting away at it until you get it to the right depth. Once you break through the first top layer part, it's kind of almost fibery inside, so you have to kind of break through all that too. I don't know if it's like the glue fibers or whatever's in there from when the mask was created. But you just have to kind of work with it, go back and forth. I couldn't figure out a good way to hold on to it so that I wouldn't cut myself. I am a little accident prone, so I was trying to be very careful. This is actually sped up a little bit because I was going so slow. And then I test out the eyes to see if they fit. The eyes also came from Amazon. I believe it was like a pack of several different eyes for $7.99. I'll put the link as to one I picked up. It wasn't too expensive for the amount of eyes I received. And I was able to pick through and see which one I liked the best. I happen to think this one looked the cutest, but there were so many other options. There were blue, and I think there was even a pink, some things like that. So plenty of options. Now I'm going to use super glue. Once I got that slit cut open, I just slipped a little eye in it, just a little bit, and I've got super glue going on just inside the lip to kind of hold it in place. Now I use super glue. It's the gel kind from Dollar Tree. You could use any kind of glue that you want. I wouldn't say use hot glue because I did end up using a little bit of hot glue on this, and I found that it didn't stay stuck to the rubber, so I had to go back with the super glue anyways. You'll see in the video here just coming up. I took a scrap of felt that I had in my stash, and I glued it to the back of the eye and around it because the eye didn't fill the whole of the mask, and I didn't want to be able to see through to the back, so I put a little bit of felt there to kind of make the whole eye area dark. And here's what I was using the hot glue on the rubber and the felt, and it did not hold. Here's where I discovered that the hot glue was not holding up, so I had to bring the super glue in to reattach it. Alright, now I'm going to start on the other eye. Again, just where the back and the front of the mask connect. I'm just using my X-Acto knife to go down that line, open up that seam, so that I can stick the eye in it. Just be really, really careful if you do this. Have a sharpened blade. Try to keep your fingers out of the way. Pay attention to what you're doing so you don't accidentally stab yourself. Keep the kiddos and the pets out of the area so they don't bump into you and accidentally cause the blade to go into your finger. And if you have gloves, protective gloves of some sort, maybe try those too. You see, that's just me slipping the eye into the opening that I created, realizing it wasn't quite as big as it needed to be. Working with the blade a little bit more. You can see kind of how I'm like sawing in that area. Stick the eyeball back in. as you can see, you will have to work with it a little bit. It's a little trial and error. You cut some, and because you don't want to cut too far, because then, you know, too much of the eye is going to go in. You just want to do just enough so that it tucks in there but doesn't like disappear in the opening. So it's a little cut some, stick the eye in, test it out, see what else you have to do, try it again, repeat. And when you finally get it, I came in again with the super glue. There's the super glue gel from the Dollar Tree. Put my head totally in the way of the camera. I just kind of peel up the backing a little bit of the rubber, kind of put the glue in there, let it set for a minute or two, and then this is just me adding the hot glue and the piece of felt to cover the eye. And I don't even try using the hot glue on the felt this time where it touches the rubber. I just go right in with the super glue since it didn't hold on the other eye. And now here's the wings. Now I had a plan initially. I was going to cut this off, this backpack like thing, so that the child could wear it on their back. And I do end up cutting it off and pulling out the strings. In retrospect, I should have left the little strings in the holes because it would have helped me in the next step that I go in. But I pulled them all out thinking that I would still be able to see the holes once I pulled the string out, which is not the case. And I only end up using one of the wings. See how I pulled the strings out here? I should have left them in because I come back in and put pipe cleaners in them to help connect it. And by pulling out the strings, I ended up losing the hole. Here I'm just kind of laying everything out to see how it's going to go. I do end up turning it so that you can see it a little better in the camera, and I can interact with it without it being out of shot the whole time. Those are the pipe cleaners I end up using. I do attach the wing first, which I will tell you I believe was a mistake on my part. You should probably attach the mask first. It will make it easier, because once you attach the wing, it gets a little difficult to flip over and move. So here I am using the other piece that still has the backpack part attached, and that's because the strings are still going through the holes, and I can take those pipe cleaners and run them through the hole that the string is in. And if for some reason I can't get it through, I use my needle nose pliers to kind of poke through the hole, open up the plier just a little bit, and then I can stick the pipe cleaner in that opening, like I'm doing now, and pull it back through the hole. That was much easier than trying to rediscover the holes from the other wing where I had pulled the strings out. So that's why you see me working around that little backpack piece. I do end up cutting it out, I just want to use that space. See how easy it was? Because the string is through that hole, I can just feed the pipe cleaner right through. And here I am cutting off these strings because I don't need that backpack piece. However, I am going to keep it. I'm not sure what I'll use it for in the future, but I think there's potential for it. And there I have my wing with all the pipe cleaners on it. Just flipping it over so that I can attach it to the back. You see me walking around from one side to the other of the table just so I can have better reach and perspective on where I'm working. I'm just trying to line it up and see where I want it exactly. I end up going through those two brackets there, kind of lining it up along that. And I just use the pipe cleaner to weave in and out of the wreath frame and wrap it around. I have to get my needle nose pliers involved in some of this because the mesh makes the spacing so tight, and the mesh, if you've worked with mesh, you know it catches everything. So even the pipe cleaners were getting caught up in the mesh and I was having a hard time pulling them through. I just loop them around, wrap them. I could have wrapped it a couple times and then just cut the pipe cleaner off, but I decided that I wanted to just keep wrapping it and not cut any of it off. So you'll see that I wrap it and then I end up weaving it through the wreath frame a few times, wrapping it around the wreath, or I'm sorry, the wing itself for a little bit more security. So that's how I ended up using all the pipe cleaner. That mesh sure makes it difficult sometimes. Alright, now I'm shaking it around a little bit, make sure it's well attached, and it is. And now I'm going to bring in a couple more pipe cleaners to attach the tail. Again, if you're going to do this, I would recommend putting the mask part on first instead of last. It made it a little bit more difficult as I was putting the mask on to flip it over with both the tail and the wing attached. I'm just finding a good placement for that. It's got a little metal piece on it so that you could hook it onto the belt loop of the child, or the pant waistband of the child. So I just used that to wrap the first pipe cleaner around. And I weave it in just like I did with the wings. Line it up. Pull it taut, just wrap it, and then loop the excess around the outer brackets just to hold it into place. Take another pipe cleaner, Wrap it around the wreath frame. I was going to try to see if I could just hook into that piece that's on the tail, and it wouldn't stay. So here I am trying to ponder what to do next. I end up going behind the tail, coming out the other side of the wreath frame, and then just wrapping it, twisting it, and looping it on the outer bracket pieces of the frame. Sometimes it's hard to see on this because it's a black pipe cleaner with the black mesh, black tail. It all kind of just blends together. Alright, tail's on. Now it's time for the mask. I just cut the piece of elastic that's there that would have been used to go around the child's head. And I end up weaving that between the two inner frame pieces, arranging it the way I want it, and then tying it. I was trying not to pull it too taut because I didn't want the mask to like fold, but it's a little difficult to put it on there and not pull it at least a little bit. So I was just kind of checking it to see how it was positioned. Being a little fussy. Flip it back over and do a couple more ties because I didn't think it was sturdy enough. I again end up fighting with the mesh, trying to get the elastic under the bar between all the mesh that's there. Had to bring in the needle nose pliers again, but they still didn't really want to help. I don't know if you can hear it, but my cat is in the background. I have the door closed of my room, but he's out there meowing at me because he assumes I'm talking to him. And why won't I let him in the room with me? I got that tied. It is attached now. It's not the most sturdy, and I might play with it a little. And here is the finished product. When I showed my husband, he said it kind of looks like the dragon is looking back at you, like it was flying in one direction and you made a noise or something and it looked back at you to see what you're doing. But I like it. I think it hangs well. This is actually an interior door. I wouldn't be able to put this on my exterior door just because it would get smushed in the screen. But there's my dragon. Thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, please subscribe, like, and share with your friends. Have a great day.